If you're holding Bitcoin, you need to sell it immediately. It's going to crash. It's going to go down significantly. It could go down to 30 to 10K. Believe me on this. But first off, I want to start off by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just letting you know that what I've seen in the market, that Bitcoin will potentially go down to zero. Now, the Bitcoin market was a lot more stable. Um, Bitcoin market was a lot more stable, um, you know, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. What's about to happen to it now? That banks can short it, that, the big players can actually short Bitcoin now. The market is about to crash faster than you could ever think to imagine. Now, we know that the banks are at war with the precious metals, but they're also at war with crypto. Because if crypto becomes mainstream, then there will actually be no need for the banks anymore. And that's a huge problem for these banks who bring in trillions of dollars every year. It's like you're messing up their money with crypto, and they have a huge problem with it. So I'm telling you this because I don't want you to get trapped into Bitcoin thinking it's going to go to $1 million when there's actually an attack on it. And the reason why or you should, be wary of Bitcoin, is because $6 trillion was taken from the precious metals market on Friday, January 31st. Now, what is the correlation between the precious metals losing that much value and Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin's market cap sits around $1.6 trillion. The banks are able to sell a position up to $6 trillion. That's what they were trying to do on precious metals. Now, they know they didn't have complete control of the precious metals market, but they just wanted to see what they could do. Now, is this a fact? Well, no, we can't prove it, but this is, speculation from what we saw in the precious metals market on the day it lost $6 trillion. Because why would you try to coordinate an attack on precious metals when you know you have no control over the paper market, right? We know that Shanghai is, the premier pricer in silver. They've taken over the precious metals market. They've even taken over, all of the critical minerals that are needed for various industries across, every market you know, uh, within the U.S. and within the world. So when you see this, it should raise red flags for you. But a lot of people are getting into the mindset of, I need to hodl, I need to hold on to Bitcoin, and they're going to wipe you out. The first person that's going to get wiped out is Michael Saylor. His entire position is going to be liquidated, um, around $55 billion. From there will be a cascade effect on the market, and it will continue to crumble until it hits around $20,000. I'm not saying that Bitcoin won't go up, but the reason you should definitely be wary is because whenever Trump was inaugurated as our president, he took a $500 million donation from the Saudis into his World Liberty Financial coin. Now, this should raise red flags for every American. But we know that America has double standards for certain people. And that subgroup category happens to be the President of the United States of America. Now, why this should raise a red flag for you is because Donald Trump only has 3 years left as a president. Whenever he gets out of office, the damage that he would have done to our economy and to our country, the people of this nation will not want to go back to those ways ever again. there will be a huge financial collapse. The markets will deteriorate. And you'll see that the only things that can actually hold weight is gold and silver. Those are the only two things that have stood the test of time, and they will continue to. Um, and so that's why they, I actually believe that the CIA created Bitcoin. Either the Central Intelligence or a foreign intelligence agency created Bitcoin in order to trick the masses to keep them from buying the precious metals. Because you have to think, there's been a shortage on silver for the past decade. There's been a shortage in gold. So you have to think, when there's a shortage, there's over 300 million Americans. If every American was just to buy an ounce of silver, it would collapse the market. So you have to think, $1.6 trillion, instead of going into a safe haven, went into Bitcoin, this, monetary thing that was created out of thin air. And the easy money that you could have generated within Bitcoin is over. So there's actually no reason to be holding it. Think about it, right? If Bitcoin right now is around $77,000. When Bitcoin was at $100,000, it can only 10x. So why, if you're an everyday American, why are you even holding Bitcoin? If you're holding Bitcoin, right, and you have $1,000, the most it's going to do is 10x. So you're going to have $10,000. But a lot of Americans aren't thinking about this. A lot of the people that's holding Bitcoin, they aren't even thinking. They're just doing what the masses are doing. They're buying Bitcoin, so I'm buying Bitcoin. You guys need to rethink this, all right? Now, there's no telling how high gold and silver can go, because these governments around the world continue to print money. So if we're printing at $3 trillion, if China's printing 1,000, if China's printing 1 trillion, if Japan's printing 1 trillion, if Europe is printing 1 trillion every year, instead of buying, the U.S. bonds, they might begin to look towards gold and silver. What about all the trillions of dollars that's being held in bonds? So you guys need to kind of open your eyes to what's actually going on in society. And you need to protect yourself, because it's gonna get real dangerous out here. The US is $38 trillion in debt. I mean, at that rate, you get about 2-3 year runway. If President Trump succeeds in devaluing the dollar and redoing the fabric of our nation by installing the data net system, where the central bank allows for digital currency, and we have a CBDC, we're going to be in dangerous territory. You have to fight back. You have to fight back against AI taking the jobs of millions of Americans. You have to fight back against the central bank digital currency. You have to fight back against the inflation of your currency. And don't be a sheep. So I want to say, this isn't financial advice. This isn't, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to do anything. But I am saying, be wary. Keep your eyes open. Because things aren't what they seem.